Hi, I'm Karen. Welcome to my kitchen. Today we're unraveling the mysteries of quinoa with a bold and delicious black bean quinoa veggie burger. This is worth sticking around for.
Kick it.
So today we are cooking with quinoa, and I'm sure you've heard about it. It's all the rage lately. It's basically a grain that's mostly cultivated in Central and South America, and it comes just in a little bag like that. Looks real small. I don't know if you can see it. And once you cook it with about a 2-to-1 ratio of water to quinoa, and it's going to plump up and just be this beautiful grain. And the thing that's so great about quinoa is it's loaded with protein. So what we're going to do today is we're going to do a black bean quinoa burger. And what I'm going to do first, I'm just going to take some black beans, I'm going to rinse them off, and I'm going to pop them into my food processor. And then I'm going to get some onions and peppers going, and we'll get it all together. Okay, I'm just going to rinse these off. These actually are canned in a seasoned sauce, so I want to get as much of that sauce off of there. It's okay if the beans have a little bit of that seasoning because it adds to the flavor of the veggie burgers, but I don't want it to be really wet and dripping in that sauce. Toss these in here. Bloop. While we're talking about rinsing, it's really important if you're using quinoa that you rinse it. Now you can often buy it already pre-rinsed. If your quinoa is pre-rinsed, I still like to give it one more rinse anyways. And the reason for that, it's got a coating on it that can taste very bitter. What you want to do is you want to put in a strainer and run it under some water until the water underneath it runs clear. And you'll see it kind of foam up. That coating is called saponin. It actually, back in ancient days, used to be used as soap. So you really want to get that off because it's going to change the flavor quite a bit. All right, now I'm going to get to some chopping. I've got some peppers, and 1 pepper and an onion. I'm going to use about half of a medium onion. I want to end up with about a half a cup of a small diced onion and the same amount of red pepper. One of the things I really like about these veggie burgers is I'm going to actually cook them on the grill and get those nice grill marks in them, and then pop them in the oven to finish it off. And because they're black beans, they actually look really dark and they almost look like regular hamburgers, which, you know, to me doesn't really matter, but to my little one, sometimes, you know, give her something a little too different, she might instantly react and push it away, but it looks like a burger, she likes the taste, win-win situation. It's okay if you don't make it too small of a dice because we're just going to end up popping it in the food processor anyway, so we'll get kind of minced up in there. Let me turn this on while I'm thinking about it. Get that skillet hot. And take my beautiful red pepper. Red peppers are so healthy for you. There's more vitamin C in one of these than there is in an orange, and a lot of people don't know that. So I try to get my daughter to munch on red peppers for snacks, and she loves it. It's great. I'm going to use probably about half of this. Like I said, I want to end up with half a cup of each of onions and of peppers. Oh, this is so crunchy. And the nice thing about these red peppers, they're going to add a nice pop of color in with your black beans. Let's give this a quick measure. About half a cup of onions. And that should do it. Get rid of these guys. Okay, so my pan's nice and hot, and I'm gonna put about 2 to 3 tablespoons of olive oil in there. I'm gonna let it get nice and hot. Stand back. It can be dangerous. What we want to do basically is just give them a nice saute and get those crisp kind of crunchy edges, I guess, out of them. Our quinoa burgers are going to have a lot of texture to them with the quinoa, with the black beans. so we can really afford to let these vegetables cook down a little bit. While these are cooking up, I'm gonna get my grill pan heating, just so I want it nice and hot when those veggie burgers are ready, so I can just put it right on there and get that sizzle going. And I'm gonna put it on, there's the 2 burners I have underneath this, so I'm gonna put them each on a medium high, so like about an 8 or a 9 on the 1 to 10 scale. We'll do a 9. Okay, I think those are about done. I'm gonna go ahead and turn those off. And let's get going on these beans. I'm just gonna take the beans, I'm gonna put the cheese in there. This is, like I said, it's half a cup of shredded cheese, and it doesn't have to be cheddar. You can use Gouda or pepper jack or whatever you like. I just personally like cheddar in this particular recipe. Let's go ahead and pour that in there. And then I'm gonna put my veggies in there. I'm just trying to keep any extra oil out of the veggie burgers. And let's give this a couple pulses.
When we come back, we'll transform this veggie mixture into sizzling burgers and top them with a lush, smoky mayo. Don't go anywhere.
Okay, so before I take this out of the food processor, I want to go ahead and put my spices in because I really kind of like how it mixes it all up nice and uniformly. And I'm going to be using garlic powder and cumin. And I'm going to use about a 1/4 teaspoon of cumin. I kind of just put it in my palm. About that much, but that right there is about a 1/4 teaspoon. And then about twice that of garlic powder. And use about half a teaspoon, and we can go ahead and measure that one. But it would just be double that amount in your hand. We're gonna give it one big pulse so that everything gets all nice and mixed up, and then we're on to the rest. Let me turn this down a little bit, because we're not quite ready for it yet. Oh, lid. All right. So I'm gonna get a nice big bowl. We're gonna mix a lot of stuff in here. And what we're gonna end up with are enough veggie burgers. I think it'll make about 6 or 7 depending on how big you make them. And one thing that I like to do with them is I like to freeze them. They freeze really, really well. And I'll just wrap them individually and put them in the freezer in a bag. And then you can just take one out at a time and pop it in the microwave for about a minute, and they come out perfect. Let's get this blade out. It's a little messy. Get the rest of this out. Okay, now I'm gonna add my quinoa to this. And there are so many different varieties of quinoa. There's black quinoa and there's red quinoa. I'm just using the plain white quinoa today. It's a little bit smaller than the red quinoa, but it's really good. It's great in soups too. I'm gonna put about 2 cups of this in here. There's 1. This is really gonna bulk up these veggie burgers. I probably could do this with a spoon, huh? But hands are such good tools, and it's more fun to get a little dirty. Okay. Oh, and this whole bowl was just 1 cup of cooked quinoa, or of uncooked quinoa. So I took 2 cups of water, boiled it with 1 cup of quinoa. As soon as it boils, you turn it down low, let it sit for about 15 to 20 minutes until all the water is absorbed, and you have this much left over. And you can use it in salad. It's really great in soups, like I said, in veggie burgers. Okay, so I'm gonna mix this together, and I'm gonna add in 1 egg and some breadcrumbs. So there's 1 cup. Let's see how that goes. And how much breadcrumbs you use depends kind of on the size of your egg. If your egg's bigger, you might need a little more breadcrumbs. I think we just might need 1.5 cups today. But just look at your mixture, use your hands. When you're cooking, you really have to use all of your senses: sight, taste, touch, smell, obviously. And sometimes you can read a recipe and you'll make it and it won't turn out just right. You really need to get into your food and really get involved with it and taste it, because you know, your taste might be a little bit different than the author of that particular recipe in that cookbook. All right, this is looking pretty good, and I am actually gonna get in there with my hands. Once I get the feel of that mixture, I'll know if I really need to add any more breadcrumbs or not. Okay, this is perfect. So you see it almost has the texture and consistency of ground beef. Okay, so we're all nice and mixed, and we're gonna start making our patties. I'll give my hands one more wash because I gotta put some oil on the grill pan here, and I don't want veggie burger everywhere. And I just use a spray olive oil. I tend to use olive oil for everything, and if you can get a really good variety of olive oil, you can even use it for baking sweet things, and it won't have that bitter aftertaste at all. All right, so then you just start shaping these just like you would shape a regular hamburger. It just depends on how big, how small you want it. Just make your patties. I think we're gonna have about 6 today with this. But you can make little veggie sliders and make a bunch of these. Okay, while those are cooking, I'm gonna turn my oven on to 350 and let it get nice and warm, because I'm gonna sear these off and get the grill marks on them. Then I'm just gonna take this whole thing and pop it right in the oven just for a few minutes to finish it cooking off and get them nice and ready to eat. Okay, so these have been on the grill pan for about 4 minutes on each side, and as you can see, they get the nice little grill marks and they're starting to look just like hamburgers. At this point, I'm gonna take them, I'm gonna stick them in the oven and leave them in there for about 10 minutes just to make sure that that egg is cooked and that they're nice and firm. Now I'm gonna make a really nice mayonnaise to top these quinoa black bean veggie burgers with. It's gonna be a little spicy, a little smoky, really good, really fast. And the nice thing about mayonnaise, if you want to make your own, great. If you just want to buy one from the store, it's a really great device that you can season it almost any way you want to build up flavors and add extra layers and dimensions to what you're eating. We're going to start out with 3 tablespoons of just regular plain mayonnaise. And I'm just making a small amount because I'm just making 1 burger. You can double this recipe or triple it if you need. Whoa, hello. The mayonnaise is in a hurry. Or you can make as much or little as you want. Let me get my little scraper. Get that out of the way. I'm making a mess. Okay, so to that I'm gonna add 1 teaspoon of whole grain mustard. And by that I mean the whole grain stuff. You can use like a Dijon mustard. They tend to be a little bit more kind of blended together. But if you look at this, you can actually see all those little grains of mustard in there. They're so good, and they also add an extra little kind of crunch when you bite into it. I love it. So 1 teaspoon of that. I'm gonna add 1/2 teaspoon of Worcestershire sauce, 1/2 teaspoon of vinegar, and I'm just using regular white vinegar. I'm gonna add just a dash of cumin, and by that I'm just gonna give it 1 shake. And 1/2 teaspoon of honey. And that's just gonna take a little bit of the edge off of that acidity and give it a nice kind of mellow sweetness, but not too sweet. You really won't even notice it. But you would notice it if it wasn't there. And I'm gonna whisk them all together. So because of the vinegar and the Worcestershire sauce, it's gonna be a little more kind of loose than a typical mayonnaise would be. But you can see it's got a nice color to it. And you can see those little grains of mustard that I just love in there. And that would be enough for probably 2 or 3 of these burgers. Well, unless you really like it, then maybe just 1. Now I always like to give it a little taste. Perfect. Our burgers have been in there for about 10 minutes. I'm gonna go ahead and pull one out and get it dressed up for you. I'm gonna put a little bit of this mayonnaise underneath. to kind of get that bottom bun a little moist. A nice crisp piece of lettuce on top of that. Just cut that off. A couple tomatoes there. I always like to put just a little tiny sprinkle of salt on my tomatoes. Let me grab one of these. This one looks like a good size, but you can see it's got the grill marks on there. Doesn't that look beautiful? What a great looking veggie burger. I'm gonna put a little bit more of my mayonnaise on top. Give it a nice little dollop there. And we're done. And that is our beautiful black bean quinoa veggie burger. When we come back, I'll show you how to make a delicious and beautiful root salad that completes this healthy meal. Don't go anywhere. We are going to finish off this really healthy dinner or lunch with a beautiful root salad. I'm going to use carrots, radishes, some lime, some olive oil, and a little bit of cumin because I really want to kind of bring out that flavor that's in the burger and that's in the mayonnaise and kind of keep it all wrapped up together. So let's start out. I've got my mandolin, and you really need to be careful with these. They can cut you. So you have to pay attention. Use your little this thingy to protect your fingers because these are really sharp. Let's go ahead and start with our carrot. Cut the end off of it. Okay, I'm actually going to start just holding the carrot. I don't think I'll use the whole thing, so I might not need to use this safety tool for now. Let me stand this guy up. And the reason I like these mandolins is because you're going to make these really nice, really thin little tiny slices, and they're all going to be uniform. And with this salad, I'm taking some lime and some olive oil, and the acid in the lime is actually going to help soften these vegetables a little bit more. I think I'm going to stop there with the carrots. I'm just going to put them into the bowl here. Already so bright and pretty, isn't it? This is one of those meals that you really feel good feeding your family because it's so healthy. Okay, on to the next one. Now I'm going to use some radishes. And radishes tend to be a little spicy, but by putting that lime juice in there, it's really going to soften that kind of spice and make them really, really yummy. I'm going to cut the ends off, the little kind of bottoms. Put those in the garbage. Get it going. And now I'm going to use this guy. See how fast that went? I toss the end in. We don't need to keep that. But those are just perfect, uniform little slices. I'm going to do one more. Let me get that kind of grassy part off. And again, we're just going to, we're just going to do it once to kind of get it going with my hand. And then I'm going to stick this guy on there. All right. But they slice really quickly. And sometimes they stay in this little kind of pocket on the bottom, so you want to make sure you get all of those guys. I'm going to add those to my carrots. And it's already looking so pretty with the red from the edges of the radishes and that nice orange carrot. And then I found these at the grocery store the other day, and these are also little carrots, little purple carrots. They taste just like the yellow carrots, but I just like that extra pop of color. You really do eat with your eyes. I'm going to cut off the big ends because I'm going to start with those. And these carrots have already been peeled. All of them have been washed and peeled. Toss that. My one incident was with a mandolin, so I have to focus. All right. Draw them out. And look how cute those are. Got their little kind of white center going on. Just gonna add this to my mix. So now I've got this really beautiful combination. Look at those colors. think I'm gonna pop these into this bigger bowl. You might be able to see a little better all the pretty colors on that. All right, so we're almost done. I'm just gonna add some lime juice, some olive oil, some salt, and some cumin, and we are finished. So let's see, let's start with the limes. These are a little firmer, so I'm gonna kind of give them a little roll, get the juices going. Use my handy dandy. I need to look up the name of this thing. Juice extractor, squeezer thingy. And this kind of gives you a little extra muscle too. Okay, I think one's gonna do it because that was pretty darn juicy. Give it a little drizzle of olive oil. It's worth it to really kind of get a nice olive oil because it's not gonna have that bitter aftertaste. It's worth a couple extra bucks. Just gonna do like 1/8 of a teaspoon of cumin, just a very small amount. It's a couple shakes. There, that's it. Nice pinch of salt, not too much. Use my hands and give it a mix. And I really wanna make sure that you get the lime all over all the vegetables. And we are done. And that is it. I'm gonna wash my hands real quick and give this all a taste. Oh, look how nice that looks on the inside. Give myself some vegetables here. There we go. So you cannot ask for a more nutritious, kind of power-packed super lunch or dinner than this. You've got your black beans, your quinoa, you've got all these root vegetables. I'm gonna try this burger first. Oh. That's really good. It's nice and meaty feeling, but you get that flavor of the black beans and that cumin mixing together. It's really, really delicious. You get one of these little purple guys. They're so cute. It's a perfect accompaniment. You taste that cumin that you taste in the burger, that you taste in the mayonnaise. It's nice and crunchy. It's a little added texture to the softer feel of the veggie burger. This is a fantastic meal. I love it, and I'm sure you're gonna love it too. It's healthy, it's good for you, and it's beautiful. If you missed anything from today's episode, or you would like to get some more recipes, you can check us out on cox11.com. Also, like us on Facebook at Karen is Cooking from the Heart. And remember, you don't have to be a trained chef or cook to make delicious, healthy, and beautiful meals for your friends and family. You just gotta cook from your heart. Okay, my pan's getting nice and hot, and I need some olive oil to put in that, so I'm gonna get that, and I'll be right back because I put it away. I forgot. And one thing that I like to do with them is I like to freeze them. Whoa. Aftertaste at all. It's worth it sometimes to spend the extra. Whoa, hello. This is squirting, not spraying. All right, we'll squirt it down and then wipe it up. There we go.